You will never be happy working for a AAA studio unless you're the kind of person who can spend 2 entire years of your life modeling a single building. That actually happened at Ubisoft, 1 artist, 2 years, just for Notre Dame. It's a masterpiece for sure, and they ended up using the actual model out of the game to reconstruct a real cathedral years later, but for most artists that's not the dream. It's a creative prison. Most of us want to design characters, build worlds and solve visual puzzles and not work on the exact same asset for half a decade. Today I'm breaking down why I found more growth in the indie trenches than I ever did on big budget games, using the art from a recently announced project as an example. If you feel like your art is becoming a chore, you probably aren't a bad artist, you might just be in the wrong machine. So let me help you find what your true artistic calling is. Don't get me wrong, big budget is awesome. If you ever get the chance to work on something larger, I think it's an experience worth having. It will teach you a lot about professional workflows and pipelines. Working together with other people on a single goal and vision can be really fun, especially with international productions where teams in other time zones can make progress overnight. Being part of a big art department is also the best environment for artistic growth. You're surrounded by like-minded creative people, all with different skill levels and strengths, so there's a lot of awesome feedback and critiques to gain and learn from. From my experience, even interns who just spend a couple of months working in a studio have often seen massive growth only because they are surrounded by these people. We've also achieved similar results on my Discord server where people share and learn from each other. But with all those awesome benefits, you should also be aware that most big studios hire specialists. While some people may be lucky to work on a variety of things, it's not unlikely they were hired to only design props while you're there. Someone else might only work on NPCs, and another person could be in charge of creating foliage, like trees and bushes. There are some artists in the industry who are famous for how awesome the 3D rocks are, so all the big studios would only hire them to work on those. It's also worth mentioning that unless you are hired to do concept art, you will most likely be limited in the amount of freedom you get. Once you get a concept, you're supposed to follow it and you can't really add your own touches and details to it. Obviously that all varies from task to task and for different studios, but generally speaking, the concept artists and designers tend to get a little bit more creative freedom within the scope of their task, of course. We are often told that specialization is the only way to the top. I'll argue that for many it leads to burnout and a very stiff portfolio. Obviously, indie studios have much smaller budgets and the teams are not nearly as big. You may even be the only artist on the project. I've personally been alone on a couple of projects, especially in the early prototype stages where I would be the concept artist, 3D artist, animator, among other things. Am I an expert at all of these? I'd love to say yes, but most of my work has since been replaced, but it really doesn't matter. What matters most for me is I get to try out things, be creative in other areas and learn new tools. Especially as an art director, knowing Unreal Engine 5 and understanding these processes can be extremely helpful. Even if I make the switch back to AAA, but in indie, you don't just paint a character, you ensure that character fits into the world you build. That's true art direction. Talking about artistic growth again, while it doesn't come from collaborating with a massive team, it comes from working on a bunch of little things. One day you might paint foliage, the other day you're designing a character. Maybe you're creating this big fantasy world for one project, but the other is something completely different. Your artistic toolbox will gain significant weight in an indie environment. You literally become the jack of all trades, master of some, building a versatile portfolio in the meantime. Also, I just want to mention, the game I'm showing you here was also my favorite project by far. It's a pretty unique couch co-op game. Development and playtesting was a blast. It really didn't feel like we were working half the time because we had just so much fun. We would still playtest games on big productions, but since we were a small team, we could iterate and try out new fun ideas constantly, which is another big benefit for me when it comes to indie projects. I'm sadly no longer part of the team, but the free demo is coming out later this month during Steam Next Fest. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, and it would be really cool if you could wishlist it. Since I know what other content is coming, I'd love to see the team succeed, and every single wishlist can make a big difference. A big difference can also be seen when hiring. Indie studios will often hire juniors or beginners, being a great opportunity to get your foot into the industry. Even an internship can be much easier to get and could lead to a proper position eventually. Indies are often much more chill about, well, pretty much everything, though I still highly recommend reading and understanding what you're signing. They're often a lot more chill about using the art for your own portfolio. I've even seen studios appreciate the additional free marketing, so they let you share the process and work before the game is even out. You're a lot more involved with the community and able to create art or features based on their feedback and requests, and even share your own feedback within the team. Like ideas for features or general thoughts are often a bit more appreciated, whereas some big studios have been known to call people toxic when giving constructive feedback. You don't want a meeting with HR because you have done something even slightly outside your task. That is a weird and rare exception, though it's not unheard of for big studios to treat their employees badly and force crunch time and bad work-life balance. I'm not saying it doesn't exist for indies, but for the most part it's a bit more chill. Here's the paradox. We are often told that specialization is the only way to get to the top. If you want to work at the biggest studios, you need to be the rock guy or the foliage person. But for many artists, that path leads straight to a stiff portfolio and major burnout. You become so good at one tiny thing that you lose the ability to see the bigger picture, the actual game you're building. In the AAA environment, unless you are a high-level design role, you're often just one tiny cog in a machine. You just do the work without adding your own touches or details. It's about execution, not exploration. But in the indie trenches, you're a problem solver. You're tackling a bunch of different things and then figuring out how those assets actually function inside the engine. I'm not saying it's not like that in AAA, but you have to be a very specific role to be able to touch all the things within the game. And usually as a beginner, you're not. This versatility is your secret weapon. While the AAA specialist is waiting for a very specific job opening, the indie generalist has built a versatile portfolio that shows they can handle an entire art style from scratch. You aren't just showing you can paint, you're showing you understand how a character fits inside the worlds you build. Though it can be a bit harder to get into AAA positions later on, as you need to be really skilled to pull off a task to a similar quality as a specialist artist would be. Though you could always choose to specialize a bit more in your favorite areas to increase your chances. Personally, I really like working in both, but Chef's Arena was still my favorite project by far because the team was small enough that we could iterate and try out new, fun ideas constantly. It really didn't feel like work at all because we were having just so much fun testing and breaking things. My suggestion to you, if you feel like your art is becoming a chore, you probably aren't a bad artist, you're probably just in the wrong machine. So let's talk about how to find the one you actually belong in. So, is the AAA dream dead? Absolutely not, and personally, I would take another big project as soon as I get the opportunity to work on. I get enough variety for my art outside of work. If you want to see how the biggest machines in the world operate, how some of the awesome worlds are built, or if you truly love the idea of perfecting one single craft for years, that environment is an incredible place to grow. But you have to go in with your eyes open and be aware of a decision. Remember what I said, you will never be happy in a big studio unless you're okay with being a specialist, though you still may be lucky to get a bit more freedom on some projects. If you find yourself constantly wanting to touch every part of the process, from the first sketch to the final engine implementation, then don't beat yourself up for not fitting into the AAA box. You aren't a lesser artist, you're just an indie generalist. And who says you won't find that one thing you truly want to specialize in once you've been in the indie environment for a while? You can always transition from indie to AAA or from AAA to indie. Go out and try both things if you want. And also go out and wishlist Chef's Arena so you can get notified about the free demo. It's a perfect example of what happens when in the early stages you stop worrying about perfect polish and start focusing on fun iteration. If you want to get some feedback directly from me on which path your portfolio is currently leaning towards, hop into our Discord, the link is in the description. If the video helped you at all, hitting the like button would truly help me a lot as well. So thank you for watching, now go out, build something, whether it's one perfect stone or entire world. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.